Fred, a 23-year-old man from France, was in serious trouble. He had made some bad choices, and now the law was after him. In an attempt to avoid a prison sentence, he came up with a risky plan. He decided to impersonate a missing teenager. His target was Nicholas, a 13-year-old boy who had gone missing 3 years ago. Fred knew that if he could convince people he was Nicholas, he might escape the authorities. So, he began his transformation. Fred was no stranger to pretending to be someone else. He had done it before in shelters for runaway teens, staying there for free. But this time, the stakes were higher. He went to a salon, got a youthful haircut, and changed into clothes that made him look like a teenager. Standing in front of the mirror, Fred practiced speaking like a 13-year-old. He felt both nervous and determined. He needed to pull this off, or everything would fall apart. Fred's plan took an unexpected turn when he was greeted by Nicholas' family. They had been waiting for years to see their son again, and when they saw Fred, they believed their prayers had been answered. The mother, father, and siblings embraced Fred, calling him Nicholas. Fred, though, was torn. He had to act like he belonged, but deep down he knew the truth. His heart raced as he tried to fit into a family that wasn't his own. Over dinner, things started to feel off. The family was happy, but there were moments when their smiles seemed forced. Fred tried to act like a normal teenager, but he couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. His new family started to notice little things, like the way he behaved differently from how they remembered Nicholas. They didn't say anything right away, but they began to have doubts. Fred could feel the tension building. As Fred settled into his new life, things were getting complicated. Charlie Parker, a private investigator, was hired to find out the truth about Nicholas. Parker started investigating and quickly noticed that something didn't add up. His eyes caught the small details, differences in ear shape, eye color, and body build. It didn't take long for him to conclude that Fred was not Nicholas. The investigation was heating up, and Fred's days of pretending were numbered. The truth finally came out. Fred was confronted, and the police arrested him. In court, he stood before a judge, looking down in shame. The judge sentenced him to 6 years in prison. Fred had tried to outsmart everyone, but in the end, it was his own lies that led to his downfall. As he was escorted away, he couldn't help but think about how his life had spiraled out of control. Fred spent the next several years in prison, far away from the family he had deceived. The walls of his cell were cold, and the days felt long. He had time to think about everything he had done, how he had stolen someone else's life, all for the sake of freedom. Sitting by the bars, he stared out the small window, lost in thought, knowing that his future would never be the same. After serving his sentence, Fred tried to start over. But he couldn't forget the family he had hurt. He stood in front of a mirror one day, looking at his own reflection. He saw the face of a man who had made a huge mistake, a man who had tried to escape the consequences, but only ended up hurting others. The truth had caught up with him, and it would follow him for the rest of his life.